According to you, who is winning the competition? I know we're right in the middle of the European Champion Cup, right? The Euro, but also the Copa America, right? So there's some countries really dominating, fascinating, right? So I know in Europe, clearly there's a favorite at the moment, right? So it has to be Spain because the way they play the fantastic. Are they going to win? I don't know. Copa America, so Argentina, clearly one of the favorite, Brazil as well, but I don't know. Yeah. But who is the equivalent, according to you, of Spain, Brazil, France, Germany? Who would it be? Well, let me tell you one thing. When it comes to solar, the answer is pretty clear. There's only one and one leader, one and one champion, which is really dominating, asserting his influence and also his domination. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be looking at the global market insights, for 2024, 2028, and I'm going to share with you this insight, and you would understand who really this champion is. Yeah? Okay, stay tuned. Hello again, I'm Tony T. I'm the founder and CEO of Renewables in Africa. So if you don't know us, what you want to know is that we raise awareness about renewables energy in Africa and across the globe. If you are a project developer, if you are an EPC, if you are a supplier or an investor, and you say, I want to expand into Africa, I want to break into the market, listen, I would like you to reach out to me because I want to help you to grow. I want to help you significantly to lower your business development costs, but also to fast track your customer acquisition process. So, how am I going to do that? Well, I want to talk to you about our awareness packages, and we're going to help you three ways. Number one, we want to help you, first of all, to get more visibility to the people that buy it to you, the people that will buy your product, your service, or the people you want to reach out through your organization. Yeah, if you are you're an organization. So I'm also going to help you through that visibility to get the lead that you want, and from those leads to get the sales. As simple as that. And I know, as I say that, some of you may be still doubting. That's absolutely fine. Listen, I was a doubter myself, right? Until I applied that to myself and then to other people. So what I want to say, so book with me a 15-minute call. Let's have a conversation. Let me show you what I have done for other people. And then you can decide freely, yes, this is something for me. I'm willing to work with Tony. I'm willing to work with renewables in Africa. And I'm willing to grow my business. Yeah. And after that, we can talk more. Is that fair? I think it's the fairest thing we could say, right? So I want to take you back to a topic which is discussing the solar report, the solar market insight for 2024, 2028. But before I dive into that, I really want to, you know, give credit to the Solar Power Europe Association, because a lot of information that I'm going to be sharing today come from the beautiful report that they put together, the beautiful webinar they put together. If you haven't done it yet, make sure that you procure yourself this report and listen to this webinar, and you're going to get a lot more in depth. What I'm doing here is simply bringing some extract of that report and those webinars and discussing it with you, because I know a lot of the time when report like that are put out, for public consumption and for dissemination, I think people don't always take the time to read it. And as such, they can't really understand how the industry is operating. So my job in here is simply to bring that to your attention so that we can understand or what we have in front of us and how we can position ourselves. Once you know that, you know how to play your cards correctly. That's why I say it is very important for you guys. These are intelligent, these are insights. Yeah. But I'm very happy to bring that in front of you. If you have some further questions, just reach out. We can talk more and we can see how we can help you to take advantage, not only in this report, but also, as I say, to move forward, especially when it comes to Africa. How can you position your card and how can you deploy into this market, right? Excellent. So I want to take you through that report. I'm just to sort of we summarize the key part, the key bits, right, of the report so that you can really absorb it. And I'm just going to share my screen now for a second, and I'm going to be showing with you what the report, maybe the first slide of the report. So let me see if you can see that. Yes, I believe you could see that. And what you see here, it's an annual, but also cumulative solar PV installation. All the way for the last 20 years. And it's important to see. And what could we see? So The global market report clearly indicates that there has been a significant growth in solar, right? So, and in 2023, what we're seeing here is there has been, 'cause what we're showing here is actually the cumulative solar PV installation, right? And what we can see there in 2023, there has been 447 gigawatts of solar installed, right? Almost 500 gigawatts. So that's over half a terawatt, and that's impressive because it represents an 87% increase and you compare to 2022. So you could see there has been a growth, significant growth, right? And when we now start looking at where does it come from, what can explain that? So there's few reasons that one can be thinking, but let me just talk to you about some of it. So we could see here the decrease of module prices, by 50%. So that's what the report will say. So if you take the chance to have a look at that. So that 50% decrease in the module clearly explain why we see such an increase here of solar, but also the ongoing impact of the global energy crisis coming from previous year. This really has been driven the growth in the solar PV installation. And the energy crisis, though, all the way also coming from COVID, the energy crisis that we had, the war in Ukraine and Russia, and now as well you see also what's happening in Gaza. All of that is fueling the market, and obviously we can see here it's really booming and really exploding. Now, clearly there is a champion, as I was alluding to when I was talking to you at the beginning, right? So I was saying that clearly there is a champion in this market, and we could clearly see, like you see that obviously it's China, right? China is the, let's say, dominant guys in the market, the dominant player. There is not a shadow of a doubt. There's clearly a dominance of China here. They have installed 253 gigawatts of solar PV in 2023. So this is massive and it's impressive. If you're looking at what we've seen here, so just to put into context, they literally have installed more solar power than the rest of the world combined. Yeah, that's for you to put that into perspective. And like I say, those slides that you see, those are extract from the Solar Power Europe, a report that they put together, and also the webinar, the slide. So make sure that you can search on the Google, you can reach out to them. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to share that with you. So 253. So that's impressive. It's accounting for more than half of the global capacity. And what is actually quite important is to know that this is a 150% year on year increase and carry a new era for the country in solar energy. And obviously, you can dive into why we have seen such a massive growth in China, but a lot of it also will be due to the fact that they're catching up from the COVID year, right? So, but this is giving you basically an idea of where we're going. Yeah. So that's it. So if you are in the sector, if you are in the market, and you sort of saying that, oh, I don't want to deal with China, I don't want to, guys, there's no choice. They dominate the market. So whether you want it or not, when you're talking about the manufacturers, when you're talking about the players, when you're talking about the service providers, clearly you have a lot of Chinese companies simply because they dominate the market. And yeah, and we also need to give them credit because thanks to them, the market is actually exploding, it's growing, and the modules are becoming cheaper, which means that it fuels more solar PV installation, right? So that is a very, very important thing to note. Now, what is happening now in other markets? Let me just also give you an idea of what's happening on the other markets, so you could also take a look at that. So here, what we see for the other market, you see that beside China, what you have is the United States. You have Brazil, you have Germany and India. They are all significant contributors to the global solar market. Yeah, and in particular, I think the US has seen as well their best year. With 32.4 gigawatt that has been installed. Why? I think there's a number of reasons, but probably one of the most important reasons is that was the first year, the first full year where we have the IRA. So the Inflation Reduction Act program that was launched by the Biden administration. That was the first full year that we see, and you can see that it has been a tremendous. We went from yeah, they've gone from 21.9 gigawatt all the way to 32.4, right? So clearly that's what we see, such a big growth, and it's encouraging to see that, and we should be proud to see that. And the other thing I wanted to share in here as well is the fact that as a world we reach 1.6 terawatts. So that's really impressive, right? So we look at the cumulative. So solar is definitely still growing. However, notwithstanding the fact that it is growing, so you would like to think that, okay, does it mean that solar all of a sudden has become a dominant force in terms of the energy market, especially for power generation? I would say no, right? So, like I said, if you go more deep into the report, if you do some research, what you understand that even with this massive growth, so solar still represent only 5%, of power generation. So that's what we see. So there's still a lot of growth that needs to be that needs to happen. Yeah. So that's what we see. Now, what can we say now in terms of the projection going forward for solar? So are we going to see still massive growth like we've seen over the last year? Bear in mind that we had the impact of both the COVID, but also the energy crisis. What is the association thing, the Solar Power Europe? What are they thinking? It's some other expert. What are they thinking? Because all these guys, so I think it's fair to say that it's not just the Solar Power Europe Association that has combined those insights. They've been working closely as well with the Global Solar Council, right? So which obviously is led by Sonia Dunlap, which is a good friend of us. And yeah, they bring those insights for you to understand. So what could be the projection? So why is it important for you to know that though? As I said, first of all, you want to know where are the hottest markets, where could you potentially go and find experience, know-how, knowledge, but also partners, investors. So obviously clearly, as I show you the the other markets, I've talked about China for sure. I've talked about US. I've talked about Germany. I've talked about India. You know that these are where you can be obviously finding investors, so partners, and so on and so forth. This is why it's important, and you want to see where the market is going. What are the trends there? Because you could use that to take inspiration in your own local market. That is why, for me, like I said, always important to understand this global picture, because the global picture helps you to figure out what's going to happen in your market, how can you innovate, and how can you move forward, right? So what's going to be the projection going forward? Let me just again go back to my screen. I like to show you the next slide. So which is going to be addressing that. So what we see here, it's the report forecast a 22% global market growth. That was for 2024, which should be reaching 544 gigawatts. Yeah. And by 2028, this market is expected to grow at a slower pace, obviously, right? Because you can't expect to have to be always in crisis situation, crisis mode, right? You also want to have a sustainable growth figure, right? But still, as we talked about, slowing the pace, it's still massive improvement, reaching 876 gigawatt annually. So, and by 2030, we believe that or at least that's what the report is saying, that the cumulative global installed capacity could reach, 7.4 terawatts. That is, like I say, massive, significant. Yeah. So there's great days ahead for solar, right? So this is what needs to be said. So, and the question is always the same for me. So how do you take advantage of that? So how do you position yourself? How do you move forward to say that I want to be part of this revolution that is happening? It's clearly driven by China. Yeah. Other markets are coming, but to be honest, for me, for the foreseeable future, they still gonna be massive dominating, because they clearly have a vision, they have obviously the passion, and they have the money and the technology to move forward. Yeah. So other people are gonna catch up. Yeah, to some extent, but it's gonna be a while before people will overtake China. Let's be clear. So in terms of solar, they clearly dominate. Yeah. But how can you take advantage of that? That's what I want to say. So, and I would just want to sort of come progressively to wrap up and talk about so what actually made China the champion in the world in terms of solar. Yeah, we can talk about a number of things, but what is great, I want to talk to you about which is what my next slide is talking about is the set of policy that they've put in place. These for me were really, 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 like I say, critical, fundamental. The enabling solar PV policy, because as we usually would say, so if you want to move forward, yeah, take inspiration of what the best are doing in the world. So what's led, and as you can see here, we're talking about China dominating, but it hasn't started today. It hasn't started 5 years ago. No, it's a long time ago. Look at that. 2025, we have the renewable energy law, right? And clearly, it was followed by a series of other, uh, 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 basically, regulation that put in place, basically still enabling fast tracking. And there was also some sort of long term visibility, long term vision. So this is kind of obviously we could talk about the renewable energy law that we had. We had what the supervision of full amount purchase of renewables energy. So we have the in 2020, for example, the 14-year plan of renewables energy. China, they working a lot on 5-year plans. So basically, because at the moment we're into the 2020 2025. Obviously, you can expect that by 2025 or probably by the end of this year, they're going to be start designing the next the next term in terms of this policy, and that's how they're going to go and move forward and accelerate. So we need to take into account this mode of development that China has put together and see how we can emulate that to move forward, especially for me. Again, I'm going to come back to that, the Middle East and Africa. So, especially Africa, if I want to focus on that, probably going to finish my talk in here. Because, when we see how the market is developing, you have markets in Europe now that doing 10 gigawatts a year. So we had that with Germany. That's what they've done. 10 gigawatts. That's 15 gigawatt they've done in 2023, and India as well has done 13 about 13 gigawatts, and obviously you have other market. So doing that in China alone, it's not the obviously 10 gigawatt nothing for them, right? You have provinces, right, that are doing 10 gigawatts themselves. So and what do we have in the back in the continent of Africa, right? So I don't know if you know, but up until now, so the whole solar capacity amount to about 13 gigawatts. So for the last 10, 20 years, that's what we've been able to do, right? 13 gigawatts. And that's what Germany alone has been doing just for 1 year. So I just wanted to say, no matter how good we believe that solar is progressing in the continent, we barely just scratching the surface. We just scratching the surface. Yeah, we haven't really even properly talked about dive into solar. So that is what we understand. So there's still a long way to go, and there's so much potential, so much that could happen. 15 gigawatt Germany alone is doing India. Oh, yeah, you can to me you can say it's a huge big country, but Germany 15 gigawatt alone, and for us it's taking us what 20 years to do 13 gigawatt. I'm sure we can do better. Yeah, and that's why actually I want to finish off, because I know regular basis. Sometimes my wife is teasing me, say, "Hey, Tony, what's with all the talent that you have? Why do you just focus on Africa? Why don't you do work in other part of the world?" I said, "Well, listen. First of all, I don't just work in Africa, right? But it's fair to say a big part of my work deals with Africa. Because you know what? She's absolutely right. It could be really exciting. And at the end of the day, I live in the UK as well, so it's really exciting to work on the European market, the Asia Pacific market, those market, yeah. And I'm sure I'll be having a great project there, exciting and probably making a lot of money faster, right? I don't mind doing that, but I just can't leave Africa alone because clearly that's where the passion is, number one. But the most important thing, guys, there's just so much to do. There's just so much to do, and we have to do it. This is why, for me, my job is to make sure say, hey, guys, no matter how much you think we're making progress in Africa. We haven't even scratched the surface. We so far ahead, so far ahead. And the potential is huge, humongous. Trust me. Yeah, big, big, big potential. Yeah, so we can still do a lot more. Renewables as a whole, solar in particular, because solar really is the technology that dominates the market. Just recognize it. So that's what I wanted to finish up. We have a webinar coming up soon. That's going to be with Mr. Afonso Faria from AFF Wind Service, and we're going to be talking about how do you now mix solar with other technologies to obviously provide some more flexibility, but also provide some more robustness. And I'm probably going to finish that. But yeah, so that's what the report is all about, guys. We haven't scratched the surface just yet. Look at what other regions are doing. Solar is definitely growing, but we need to grab that by the bull by the horn and drive it. Guys, there's a lot of money to be made for sure, but there's a lot of opportunities, potential, and also ability to bring power to people and finally open up this great industry to everybody in the continent. That's what I'm gonna finish off with, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed it. So drop your comments, share this video, and let me know what you think. And I'll be delighted to see you on Monday with One Day, One Concept Idea. Take care, guys. As usual, a pleasure to be talking to you. This is Tony to you. Bye bye.